All right, New York City, let's do this.
Just FYI, the new style is leaving your belt at home.
Our economies are growing, prosperity is declining. How can this be? Well, that's what's behind all the anger and populism and xenophobia and all the other stuff that exists today. What if there was not just an internet of information? What if there was an internet of value? Some kind of vast, global, distributed ledger where everybody's got a copy, where anything of value from money to stocks and music could be transacted in a secure and private way. What if there were a native digital medium for value? Well, back to 2008, perhaps propitiously, an anonymous person or persons named Satoshi Nakamoto wrote a historic paper outlining a new form of digital cash, and Satoshi solved the double spend problem. Biggest innovation in computer science in a generation, to my mind. And I've been calling this stuff now for 4 decades. And for the first time ever, people could do transactions, exchange value, manage value peer-to-peer. And don't be confused by Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's not controlled by nation states, and that has some use cases. If you're in Venezuela right now, it's kind of helpful to be able to get your money in and out of the country. Bitcoin is also a store of value. It's gone up. Recently, it's gone down. Although if you bought some a year ago, you're still up significantly. But the real pony here is none of that. The real pony is this underlying blockchain technology, because for the first time in history, people can trust each other peer-to-peer. And trust is not achieved by an intermediary. It's achieved by cryptography, collaboration, and some clever code, which is why my son Alex and I call it the trust protocol. Trust is native to the medium. Now let me just ask you, would you put up your hands in one of these categories? 1, what's a blockchain? 2, I know a little bit, but don't ask me to come up here and explain it. Number 3 is I'm pretty knowledgeable. Number 4, this is my world. Okay? Number 1, what's a blockchain? Okay. Number 2, I know a little bit. Okay, that's a good one. Number 3, I'm pretty knowledgeable. Number 4, this is my world. Okay. Well, most of you are in category number 2, so let me take a minute to explain how this works. Now, you know Mark Twain? He wrote a letter to his friend. He says, I'm sorry I wrote such a long letter, I didn't have time to write a short one. Okay? It's taken me 5 years to be able to explain this in 3 minutes. Okay? So set your stopwatches. Here we go. And I'm going to explain, there's thousands of blockchains. I'm going to explain the first one, Bitcoin, and how that works. This is one way a blockchain works. Here we go. That $1,000 that I sent you gets broadcast out to a global network of millions of computers, all using the highest level of cryptography. And all around the world is a group of people with big computing power called miners, not young people like gold miners. And they use this massive computing power, 20 to 50 times bigger than Google, all of Google, to validate that transaction. And every 10 minutes, kind of like the heartbeat of the network, a block gets created, and that block contains all the transactions from the last 10 minutes. The fact that I sent you $1,000, ultimately the fact that somebody bought or sold stock, or somebody got married, or 2 people exchanged a land title, or ultimately some light bulb bought some power from a distributed power grid, any transaction. And the miners compete using this computing power to validate the block. And the first one gets paid some of the cryptocurrencies in that blockchain. And then, this is the important part, that block gets connected to the previous block to create a chain of blocks. And it's only valid if it references the previous block, sort of like with a digital wax seal. Break the seal. It doesn't work. So, if I wanted to hack that block and take that $1,000 and send it to everybody in this room to commit fraud, I'd have to hack that block plus the previous block, the previous. I'd have to hack every transaction that ever occurred on that blockchain throughout all of history. not just on one computer, but across millions of computers simultaneously, each one of them having the highest level of cryptography. Now, I'm not going to say that's unhackable. This is an infinitely more secure computing platform than you have in your company today. Now, I've been using an analogy to explain why it would be so hard to hack. And then, you know, John Oliver's got that late night TV show as a comedian. He did a whole show on blockchain, and he had some fun with my analogy, so I'm backing off a bit. Here we go. Remember him, John Oliver?
And because of the complicated process the network uses to verify records, it is very secure. Now relax, I'm not going to get into what that process is or how it works, but I will share a really helpful, really dumb metaphor for why it is safe.
The way I like to think of it is that a blockchain is a highly processed thing, sort of like a chicken McNugget. And if you wanted to hack it, it'd be like turning a chicken McNugget back into a chicken. Now someday someone will be able to do that, but for now, it's kind of tough.
Hold on, that is an absolutely horrible thought.
My body is whole, but what of my soul? I still think it's a good analogy. Anyway, so think of Bitcoin as the first app of the Internet of value. What was the first app of the Internet of information before the web? Yeah, it was email. Right. It was the first big app. But now, the web came along, the Internet of Information, general purpose platform. You can build any app, the same is happening with blockchain. So we have these new platforms like Hyperledger, brought to you by the Linux Foundation. Ethereum is a platform invented by a 19-year-old University of Waterloo dropout in Canada. It's worth like $25 billion today. And it has a very powerful facility for building smart contracts. We're at the heart of any app. There's 180 banks that are now part of R3, creating a new platform for financial services called Corda. You've got Ripple that says it can do transaction speeds that compete with Visa. So those are 4 of a couple of thousand that are happening. So I've written 16 books. I haven't always been lucky on the timing. My 1982 book about the internet, well, it was a study in bad timing. My mother bought most of the copies, I think. I wrote a book in 1995 about privacy, safeguarding privacy in a network world. And everyone's like, huh? I don't get it. Anyway, got lucky with this book, and it's the big bestseller about blockchain, 17 languages. I'm very proud of the book. If you want to get it, the way to get it is in massive volume. Christmas, coming soon. You look like people with friends. Do you care about your friends? No, seriously.
Yeah, they just finished that one. Get these table set conversation tops. Check it out. Working with Dell as a social good advocate. Made it home. What's up? I love New York City. There's so much to do and see there. It's tough to only go for like 20 hours.